Those protests that erupted in Charlotte, North Carolina overnight.
And take a look at this scary scene. Hundreds of people in the streets, closing down a highway after an officer shot and killed a man. Police say he was armed, but his family says that is not true.
And these protests, of course, come on top of that deadly shooting in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tensions mounting this morning all across the country. And ABC's Steve Osunsami is in Charlotte now, where they had a violent and chaotic night. Steve?
Good morning to you, Robin. Even now, hours after the fighting, you can still smell the smoke in the air. We're standing outside a store that a number of people broke into and tried to steal things. Demonstrators began the night, but lawmakers, looters, and common criminals ended it. Through the night, the streets of Charlotte were on fire. Frightened families watched the rioting from the safety of their televisions at home as large crowds of mostly young African-American residents blocked highways, set fires, and tried to overturn this police car. Police used flash grenades to send the crowds away. At least a dozen officers were hurt. The night began peacefully. Hundreds of people came to protest the police shooting death of 43-year-old Keith Lamont Scott. He wasn't the person they were looking for, but police say they were forced to shoot when he pulled out a gun. Police say they recovered a gun at the scene.
And this subject gets out with a weapon. They engage him, and one of the officers felt a lethal threat and fired his weapon because of that.
But his family says he was unarmed and holding a book he was reading in the car. On Facebook, his daughter posted a live stream that appears to come from the scene.
The police just shot my daddy 4 times for being black.
But in this case, police confirm that both the victim and the police officer are African American. It's a much different story in Tulsa, but no less controversial. In the police shooting here, Officer Betty Shelby says Terrence Crutcher would not listen to any of her commands when the officer says she felt the man was on drugs.
She's screaming at him, stop, stop, stop. He walks up to the window, faces the SUV, and then looks at her. And then his left hand goes into the car window, and that's when she fired her shot.
But attorneys for Crutcher's family tell a different story and say the video shows there's no way he could have reached into that window.
The window was up, so how could he be reaching into the car if the window is up and there's blood on the glass?
Police tell ABC News that investigators found what they believe is PCP in Crutcher's car, but the tests are not complete. Crutcher's attorneys say this is another case of police demonizing the victim and justifying the shooting of an unarmed man. Authorities are promising a thorough investigation into the shooting. The black police chief here and the mayor are asking for calm. Robin?
All right, Steve, thank you. We're going to bring in ABC's senior justice correspondent Pierre Thomas with more on this. And Pierre, this seems like an especially dangerous moment in time. Have you ever seen tensions this high?
Good morning, Robin. It is. The rioting in Charlotte comes at a tinderbox moment. We have dramatic killings of African-American men caught on tape. Remember that case in Minnesota with the woman describing her boyfriend being shot to death on Facebook Live. Also, the Baton Rouge police killing of a black man. And just days before the Charlotte shooting, that chilling video of the man in Tulsa shot after holding his hands in the air unarmed. Although no one is condoning violence, these videos have left many in the African-American community concerned, fearful, and quite frankly, angry. NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick and the debates he sparked shows that this is now part of the national dialogue. It also comes at a time when violent crime is rising in some communities and when the number of police killed in shootouts is up dramatically. So many officers are concerned for their own safety and believe that the Black Lives Matter issue is overblown, Robin.
And Pierre, if the police didn't have body cams in Charlotte, how does this affect the investigation?
It makes it much more complicated. You need the body cams because the days are over when many in the African-American community will simply accept the position of police. And that's why I expect to see the Justice Department to come here and investigate because they are now the referee in these cases.
Yes, they are. All right, Pierre, thanks very much.
And so much will depend on whether or not they can actually determine whether the victim was armed.